What's up, everyone? Welcome to the very first and a very exciting episode of the Boo Boo Project. Today, I have a very interesting artist on. He does witch house music, which I actually hadn't heard of before I met him. Let me introduce you guys to a very great artist. This is Dreamer the Wolf Fox. How are we doing today, Dreamer?
I'm sick as hell. That's by
Yeah,
my
I
boy.
know. That's why we're here, isn't it? I mean, we
Yeah,
were going to be in the same studio today, but life happens. Now we're here. We're still getting it done.
yeah, yeah.
So, what got you started in music?
So I originally, so when I first, okay, I'll go over when I originally started and then when I got in the witch house because, so I originally wanted to make music for a good amount of time now, um, but I just didn't have any means to do so, and sometime in 2021 or 2022 one of my friends introduced me to what was called Muse Score. And so I made some music for Guitar Hero in there that was very bad. Um, but that's another thing. I started making music because of Guitar Hero. I would make Guitar Hero custom songs that you could play. And eventually, that fell off for me. And then eventually someone introduced me to FL Studio. And then I remade one of those songs and I made a Muse Score through there. And I had poked around at other project files and got a little bit of a better understanding of how music theory worked. And eventually, I was just sitting down and I'm just bored out of my mind while I had a day off of work, and I'm just like, you know what? Let's try to do this. And I made like the first half of Forest without lyrics, like right then and there.
That
Forest is the first one that I released.
Forest is the one you released before our show together last month, which, if I remember correctly, that was your first and currently only show you have under your belt, correct?
That is correct, obviously, because yeah, I wanna work on more of the album I'm working on before I want to get more out into more shows, or maybe even finish the album so I can have my own show for the album.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about that off camera a lot, definitely, and we will make that happen. We will get the album done and we will get you a show. You definitely deserve it.
My microphone unplugged somehow, which it never
Oh yeah,
does,
I was like,
which
why
is
can't I
crazy.
unmute you? Oh,
And
your
now I
mic's
can't
not
hear you
muted.
either, so that's amazing even more. Give me a second here. Of course, it wants to default to my Oculus headset. I should be able to hear you now.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry about that.
No, that's perfectly fine. Things happen, man. That's how technology works. We get mistakes, we work past them.
Happened. I found what
Just a
happened. The
little.
audio jack came out of the converter a little bit. That's what happened. All right.
But yeah, we will definitely get you your show for your album. We'll get your album done. We'll get this going for you, and I'm definitely excited to keep working with you there. So, who's your biggest inspiration in
um.
music? Would you say?
So my biggest is I actually have maybe a top three right now.
All right,
Um.
let's name them.
And this is gonna. I'm gonna explain this since we're at here. Since this is we brought up these people, but we have Crimes, CRIM3S, and Cross Party. They both make witch house music, which is the main reason why I decided witch house music, is because I really resonated with their music, and I'm like, you know what, that would be a good thing to implement to make because I like that type of music myself. And then the last one would be Tyler the Creator because you could probably hear it in some of my songs, but I do use some elements that I picked out from like Forest, for example. The kick is because of Cherry Bomb, the song Cherry Bomb, and then I have another song that's going to be heavy distorted that's also going to be based off of Cherry Bomb slightly, but it's also going to be based on a cross party song and another song um, by called Ali Mac by Damn Whore, which is a very good song and it has a lot of distortion on it, and it all will tie together in that song, and I think it's going to be a good combination.
That sounds like it's going to be something really interesting and definitely worth listening to when it comes out. And I really suggest everybody, like, if you guys haven't listened to this after this, you guys should definitely go and check out his music. So, what's a moment that like inspired a song? Like, just I mean, a weird moment, I guess, that inspired a song, something out of the ordinary that you were like, you know what, I can make a song from this.
Pretty much all my songs stem from me just like having some random thought pop in my head at work. Um, except for the one song which I do have Boo Boo featuring on, where he gave me the idea to actually do the song in its entirety because of what he said to me when I talked about getting him to feature on one of my songs when we hung out for the first time after the concert on his birthday, or not on his birthday, but around his birthday that he hosted.
And do you want to talk more about that song, or do you want to leave that
Um,
little more of a secret for everyone?
um, let's just put it kind of like this. I'll just say what you said to me. He said that his music is more for the positive direction, while my music, if you've heard Forced and Stuck Crying, is more towards the negative direction. So he said he could be something like the light at the end of the tunnel, or not the light at the end of the tunnel. What did you say? The shining light in the darkness, I think is what you said.
So that could be like that voice in your head that tells you not to do it. I
Well,
believe was what I said.
yeah, something
So
like that. I
basically,
don't
we're
know.
on the same. We're saying the same thing, basically, in
Yeah,
different.
the same thing. Semantics. Semantics.
Yeah. So, do you play any instruments at all, or do you know
um,
any instruments?
I don't play any. I play here. Give me a second here. Sorry, this is. I was not ready for this question. Give me a second here. So I play. I play plastic guitar. um, but I do not play any instruments. And you would think I would want to play guitar since I play Guitar Hero. But the thing is, I actually would rather play brass instruments if I were to get my hands on an instrument that I could learn, or even drums. But the drums are not as important in my mind as a brass instrument would be, because I've always just been fascinated with brass instruments and the cool tricks you can do with them. Like I don't know if you heard about people playing like two notes at the same time, three notes at the same time with one trumpet, trombone, euphonium, whatever. And then you have that crazy octave range you can get if you get lucky, like down to like zero notes all the way up to like an 8, 7, 8s if you're like really really lucky. And yeah, it just I'm just been fascinated with brass instruments.
Yeah, brass instruments are definitely they are a very different. I don't know how exactly to explain it, but like brass and woodwind are a very special type of instrument compared to the others because you can do so many different things with them that other instruments are physically not capable of doing.
That is very true. Like you can't guitars, you're very limited by the space of the thing, but with trumpets and trombones and all that, you're limited by your like the amount of air you can push out of your lungs and like just different things on top of that. So it's like more
You're
like
limited by
limited
the
towards
amount of air you
yourself.
can push out and what you can come up with to try and make work.
Exactly. Which is why
Those
it's
are really
pretty
the
pretty
only
fun.
limitations for that, and that's why, like, I agree they're like one of the best instruments you could learn. And I really think that if you ever pick one up, it's probably going to be a great thing for you.
For sure, for sure.
So, was Witch House like the first type of music you wanted to make for your own, like to release, or was there anything else you thought of before that?
So I don't remember exactly the date, but I was introduced to Witch House and like so I think I didn't necessarily know exactly what I wanted to do music wise from before, the 2020s, but I forget if it was 2020 or 2021. There was a Geometry Dash level called Slaughterhouse, which got verified, and it used a Witch House song as the song, and I liked the song a lot. So I looked up who the person was that made the song, and that was Crimes, who I mentioned earlier. And I listened to all their music, and almost none of their music that I had. I think it was like one or two songs that I'm very iffy about out of their entire like release set that they have. that I'm just like,
Wow.
that's a skip song. But it's like they have like 12 songs and they have only one skip song out of 12 songs is actually pretty good.
Yeah, that is absolutely great. When your skips are less than 10% of your catalog, you have done something correct. And I mean, the fact that, you know, like a video game alone, like with one level and the music from that level was able to inspire you to like do this, like with that person's music is insane.
Um, yeah, even the songs that I would say are skip songs aren't even like like they're like skips only like half the time at most because I'm fine still listening to them.
Yeah, and
You
I
know
mean,
what I
you
mean?
are proof that inspiration comes from anywhere.
If you want to say that, you can say that.
I mean, you played a video game and got inspired to start making music,
So that level when it got verified it's still in like the top 20, I think, of like the hardest levels ever beaten. So I can't even come anywhere near that, but it's still like pretty up there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that means people are just trying and trying, obviously. But back to the music then. So are there any other artists that you've worked with other than me at all, or that you'd like to work with?
So the only other artist I know of that I can name or that I want to work with would be Lava Moat, who is also at the show. He actually performed directly after me, and he is the son of one of my coworkers who also just so happens to be working at a different shift at the Walmart I be working at. Those are you and him are the only two that I would, have the thought of working with. I do want to get some other people on my album, but it's like people that haven't made music before, like someone else that works at the Walmart and my brother if he's down for it. But
That's a very interesting thought, and that's really cool, to get people like, hey, come on, just put a spot on this song here or something, and get them onto the album. That's really cool that you're doing that for people, because they'll be able to be like, no, listen to this part right here. This is me.
that is true. That is very true. Um, I think my brother could really do it because I've heard him, sing and rap before, and he sounded like he was good at it, but he doesn't have any way to make music himself right now. So at the end of it, nor does he even have the capability to make, beats and stuff. So
That's usually like the big, inhibitor for people who can sing and rap is they either don't have the equipment or they have the equipment, they struggle with making beats, or they have neither the ability to make the beats or the equipment, and then that's what causes a lot of people to never actually put their music out there. I've
that
noticed.
is very true. That is very true.
So talk about you. Like, what's your story? Like,
Well, I moved, so I'm gonna skip some parts over that I don't want to talk about, but
that is perfectly fine.
um,
You just tell the parts that
so
you feel
so
comfortable
so the
about.
reason I just wanted to make witch house music was because when I worked at a restaurant as a dishwasher, and that was when the witch house music started really resonating with me because I got like my mental state had went down a little bit, and that was the only thing that was kind of pulling me through was being able to listen to that music because it resonated and stuff. And I started feeling stuck at the restaurant. Some other things that went on, which I'm not going to go into. And I ended up moving out here into South Dakota with my grandfather, who is currently in the kitchen making food as we're recording this. So, and that it literally that door goes right into the kitchen. So, um, I'm very grateful that he took me out here. I'm very grateful I had the opportunity to make music now that I actually have the ability to. I'm very grateful that you put me in that concert that was around your birthday, and that's even though it's very short, that's kind of all there is really to it. Because the music that I make is digging into here with some thoughts I had, but I am going to branching out of stuff that I hadn't really experienced to for this album, which is it's fine. I'm not.
And do you want to talk about any of the subjects that you're adding to the album that you haven't
Um.
delved into before, or give people any
So
hints?
Forest is kind of. I was thinking because I would hear that song when I was in my head. I'm just like, it kind of reminds me of a forest. So I'm walking deep into the forest, and it kind of, it kind of turned into over how it feels when you're overthinking a lot. Stuck crying is people who are just like they not motivated, kind of. So they're just like kind of crying in their bed, not knowing really when they can if they can get up. Um, there are other things like anxiety that are going to be showing up in there. Suicidal thoughts, suicide itself, um, and then another song, which I think is going to be the greatest I'm going to making on the album, which is going to be about wanting to kill somebody. Which I'm not going to go into anything of the topics I brought up, but um, some of these I have maybe experienced, may not have experienced. There's some other other songs that I have ideas for that I have yet to like write down, which would be including mood swings, not feeling heard, um, being like left alone, like when you want to be around other people. And
So
I think it's gonna be a very good, what people have said, conceptual album.
yeah, it seems like a very good conceptual album. It also seems like, from what I can tell, like it's going to be a great project altogether when it comes out, because you're really delving into like a lot of the harder subjects that a lot of people want to avoid in the industry, and you're really trying to, it seems like you're really trying to hit like that mental health area with music, especially with like the mood swings, the feeling forgotten and being left alone. It really feels like, it feels like you've been in the shadows a lot, and like you're trying to, kind of put those feelings out there for other people to understand.
I do want to, with the song about being left out. I do want to try to get a Tyler the Creator sample on there, but obviously I'm gonna have to try to clear
You'll
that.
have to clear that, but
Yeah,
that shouldn't be very hard to clear. Just look up the contact for his manager and things,
yeah,
and figure out the price to clear the sample you want. And
yeah.
yeah,
Well, if I can't clear it, I'll find some backup I can do for that area. But I want to sample something off of Campfire from the that triple song off of Wolf.
yeah, it's a really good. That's a very good one to choose from. On, if you want my opinion, that's a great one.
I love Campfire. It's probably right now my favorite song off of Wolf.
I I believe that would be mine too. Maybe not my favorite Tyler song, but I don't know if I want to
Oh, it's
mention
not.
which favorite
That's
on
not
here.
my. It's not my favorite Tyler song. I'll tell you that now.
So, are there any other like samples or like
There's a bug on
people
your
who
camera.
rap or anything that? Oh, oops. Are there any samples or like, you know, other like larger artists you've thought about working with outside of your
um.
scene or in your scene?
Well, the only real artist that I would want to get on a feature is obviously Tyler himself. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, let alone probably at all. Um,
Hey, don't give up yet. There's
hey,
always a chance.
I'm not giving it up right now, but I know for a fact it's not happening at this moment in time. Um, if if somehow Cross Party were to be like, you know what, I kind of mess with this music, I want to get on this, I'll gladly let them get on because they are probably they're one of my top three biggest inspirations for music. Especially their song "Suffocate." That is actually my favorite song of theirs. Um, what else would there be? I think that's kind of it because I don't really want to sample anything. I'm kind of like that Bastard era Tyler, where I'm like, I'm not sampling shit. But
Yeah, I get it.
if I want to sample something, I'm sure I'm gonna figure it out before I even decide I want to sample it. Because the samples just have to come towards me, or come to me, like the one from Campfire did. I was just listening to the song like that would be good right there. That would be good right
Yeah,
there.
I get what you mean. I mean, I was just scrolling the internet one day when I found the sample for the beginning of Positive. I mean, even then, I wasn't even on the song at the show, so we're still evolving our music from the show to now. I mean,
As yeah.
so what would be your favorite song, do you think, that you're making on the album?
Um, The problem is I have no name for the song right now, and it's just saved in my computer as Dreamer 6. If we're gonna go off of ones that I have named, it would either be what would that be? Stop Staring, which was performed at the concert. Um, very poorly though, because that was the one of the last songs I was able to make before the concert. In fact, it was the last song I made the instrumental for before the concert. Um, uh, your song that I have you on is a pretty good one in my opinion, and I just have to touch that up a little bit before I finish the instrumentals there. Miss Me / Gone is going to be a good one when that comes out. Pretty much I like them all, but there's a couple of them that stand out to me for sure. Like this unnamed one that I'm not saying, the one that you're on, which I'm thinking is gonna be called Crossroads at this moment in time, and that's a name that I got from one of my coworkers for the song. He's like, name a song Crossroads. I'm like, that's the song right there. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a great idea there, and I'm more than excited to be able to say I'm featured on your debut album.
Thank you, man. That's good. That's good to hear.
So I guess this is your first interview, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Well, is there anything like that you've wanted to do in music, like anyone you've wanted to do a show with, I guess, or anywhere that you've wanted to do a show since you've started?
Since I started, no, not really at this moment in time. I want to do maybe when I move to Arkansas, I'm gonna want to do a show down there. But that's kind of it at this moment in time. Eventually, if I get enough traction in Brazil, I want to go to Brazil because first person to embrace the meme.
Remember,
Hey,
you
come to
don't
Brazil.
always remember you don't always need enough traction. You just need to be able to find a promoter's information,
That is true.
contact with them, and you may be able to just spot with an EDM or house music promoter down there to come do your thing.
That is true. Very true.
So, speaking of like, I guess international shows and things, is there any other countries you've thought about going to?
Probably Ukraine, Russia, like some countries that people don't usually go to perform. I want to go to perform there. So because they need to get their traction too, or they need to get their artists coming over there too.
Yeah,
So.
I get what you mean. They all deserve a good show, and they all deserve everything that like that. So, a lot of people try to use their music to take away from reality. It seems you're more leaning into reality. How do you think that's going to affect your growth as things go on?
Well, since it's topics that almost everyone has experienced in their lifetime, I think it's gonna help people resonate with my music and maybe listen to my music a little more. If they choose to sit down and listen to the lyrics, on
Very
top
true.
of feeling the beat itself that's going with the lyrics. If they don't and they just want to listen to my music, that's fine with me. But I think the fact that I'm going and talking about something that almost everyone has experienced is going to help people want to listen to my music because it's what is he talking about? What I've dealt with, this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, especially with you talking about the subjects in a way a lot of people haven't yet in music. I feel like you're going to be touching a whole new area and a whole new fan base that hasn't really been into your area of music before because of the way that you deliver things and the way that you've been wording your songs.
The Forest was the first song I wrote lyrics for, and I have a buddy who wrote. Actually, I want to get him on one of my songs too. I forgot to mention him earlier, but he wrote like 4 albums, like within like a small amount of time, just out of boredom. And he said that I have some really good lyrics, and I have some good lyric writing capabilities, which I do agree I do, but it takes a lot of time out of me because it takes me a minute to think of what I want to put and how I want to word it. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
you
saying?
really do. I mean, you have a lot of potential when it comes to songwriting especially, and your delivery. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, it does need a little bit of work, but you are doing very good with it, especially for like, just starting out. When I started out, I was not half as good as you are right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had a lot of, experiment or give me a second here. Let me restart my brain here. I had a lot of experience of understanding how music worked by poking around at different project files that someone had made for Guitar Hero Customs, which I had made a series about where I put the unused stuff back into the songs, which made the songs longer. And with that understanding of how FL Studio works, I think that helped me a lot better at being able to tie all my music, like tie all the instruments together and like put my lyrics on top of them in the way I wanted to put my lyrics on top of them. I do want to
Yeah.
re-record the Forest when the time comes that the album comes out, but that's going to be like one of the last things I end up doing because I want to focus on the other songs first before I touch that one up.
So it sounds like we're getting a Forest remaster on the album.
Yeah, that is entirely true.
Well, I am excited for that one for sure. And do you have like a window yet for your album, do you think?
I want to have it done by. I wanted to have it done by October, but clearly with me being sick, I cannot work on any of my lyrics at this moment in time. So I think somewhere between October and November is probably going to be when it happens. But I still have a lot I need to work on with the album.
Not very far out if we keep going on track here. You guys will be hearing the first album from Dreamer. That's going to definitely be worth checking out. The day you there?
So was that my internet or your internet?
I'm not sure. I'm using hotspot stuff right now.
That was probably your internet.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, once that drops, that'll be on all of my social medias. The link will be shared for you guys to check that out.
And I will have
And
CDs that will be available to be bought if when the time comes.
what about merchandise? Are we gonna have hats? Are we gonna have hoodies, shirts,
Um,
anything like
Probably
that?
not because the main design that I have for what I wore on the album is all like copyrighted clothes. Like the sweatshirt I wore is Murder Drones merchandise for
I
the
mean,
album.
something for like a logo or anything out there for people to grab.
I'm sure I'll figure it out, coming down the line, but as of right now there is not.
Okay. And then, do you have any plans for after the album with your music? Do you have anything planned after that?
I know I want to have a song. I don't know necessarily what the next album will be, but I know that I want to release a single after the fact that's going to be called Revive or Second Chance, which either one of those, where I come back to life after the album is dead or after I die in the album. No clue how I want to start that song off or what I want to do with the beat, but I know it's in the back of my mind for after the album.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have a lot of great ideas, and you've shared a lot of awesome things that you plan to do here. I mean, I am excited for everything you have planned. Before I let you go, is there anything you want to tell everybody?
I'm sure you're going to put a link in the description for my YouTube channel or my SoundCloud for where I put my music. But I do recommend listening to what I have out right now. I want to maybe once in a while, I'll do a stream where I'm working on my music, but I have no idea when or if that is even going to happen. So I just stay tuned and keep yourself updated. And if you like my music, put it on your playlists. You can join my Discord server, but I have a lot of pings for when I go and do live streams. So be prepared on that regard.
Well, you guys heard it here. Be prepared. Stay tuned. Dreamer the Wolf Fox is not going anywhere except up and creating more music every day. So you guys should definitely check him out. Link will be in the description down below. Thank you for coming on. I am so happy I got to be your first interview, and I hope that we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, no problem.